Hi boys and girls, welcome to Drawing with Mrs. R. So today we are going to draw, for the month of February, we have some really fun things, but today we're going to draw some roses. And sometimes roses can be hard to do, but we are going to learn how to draw those, and we're also going to be using watercolors. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you and show you what supplies you're going to need for today. Okay, so let me make this nice and big. All right, so you're going to need 2 sheets of paper, some water for your watercolors, and something to dab your brush on. Watercolors, your Sharpie, a pencil, and your crayons, okay? So let me move the things we don't need right now out of the way. And we're gonna start with our pencil and our paper. All right, so we're gonna begin by having our paper turned landscape, which is a long way across like this, okay? We don't want it portrait up and down, we want it across landscape like this. So the long part is going from side to side. All right, so let me see here. Now, go ahead and get my supplies a little organized. All right, so we're gonna start off by drawing some circles, okay? We're gonna draw 6 circles. First, we're gonna start off by drawing 1, 2, 3, and you don't want them to be perfect circles either, okay? So we're doing 1, 2, 3 here in the center like this. And then we're going to do some smaller ones to the side here like this. 1, 2, 3 smaller ones, okay? So these are going to be the start of our flowers. So we're going to start up here with our first flower, and we're going to draw a line that comes down like this. Now, at any time, if I'm going too fast, just make sure that you press pause, because you don't need to worry about getting behind. And then we're going to make another line that comes down like that, okay? So then we're going to touch here, and we're going to make a line that comes down across like this. Now, we're going to touch here and make a line like this, okay? Does it look like it makes sense so far? And then a line down here on this side like this, okay? And then we're going to make one across the middle, and then down the side, and then down the side again, and then 2 lines here in the center, okay? So we're going to do this over and over to each one of the flowers, all right? So we're going to go over here, and we're going to go down, down, okay? All the way down. And then across like this, okay? And then across like this, and then down and down, and then down and down again, and then across and across. Okay? So each one's a little bit different. So we'll do this pattern over again. We'll go here, and then here, and then here like that, and across, and across, down, down, across, across, and down again. Okay? And we'll do that for the little ones as well. We'll go down and across, 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 down and across. And then we'll do the little ones over here. Same thing, down and across, down and across, 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 down and across. And the last one, down and across, and down and across, and down and across, and across, and across, and across, and down and across. All right. So now, after we've done all this, and each one of yours is going to look a little bit different, we're going to put in some leaves and some vines. So first we're going to put in the vines. So we're going to start over here at the top of our page, and we're going to make a line that goes like this. Okay, coming out like that. And then down here at the bottom, we're going to make a line that comes like this. And so far this looks very odd, doesn't it? But it's going to make sense later. Now we're going to add in some leaves. So we're going to add a leaf right here. So you make a line like this. And then you make the line come back in like that. Okay. And then you go down the center. And then you draw the lines on the side like this. There's one. Now we're going to draw a smaller one up here. Same thing. It's almost like the shape of an eye. And then we draw the line down the center, and then we draw the veins of the leaf on one side only. Okay. So we'll draw another big leaf here. That. Draw the line down the center. And then we'll add the veins like that. Let's draw, let's see in the center, let's do another leaf right here, like that. And that come around. Now, if I'm going too fast, make sure you press pause so that you can catch up, okay? Or you can also rewind it too if you need to go back. So just draw the lines like that. And then I'm going to put another leaf over here, like this, a big leaf. Draw the line from down the center, just like that. And then let's draw another leaf over here like that. The line down the center. Okay. And we're going to add another leaf over here. So it's like you're drawing an eye. If you were to turn it the other way, it would look like an eye. Okay. And then draw the leaves on the side like that. And I think maybe one more leaf over here like this. Draw the line down the side. Just like that. Okay, I think we're going to make another wavy line like that on the side. And then maybe one more over here like this. You can put in as many as you like. It's kind of up to you. And I think I'll put one last leaf here. And I think we're good. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to do my Sharpie lines. Okay. So let's go ahead and do our Sharpie lines. And I'm just going to trace everything just like we always do. And if you get off the line, it's okay. It doesn't matter because we're going to erase all of these marks anyway. So it's totally fine if you get off the lines, but just try to use the lines as a guide. And remember, you don't want your circles to look perfectly round because these are flowers and the roses. And as they open up the buds, they usually aren't perfectly round. So, okay, so we're just going around and doing our Sharpie lines like that. Okay. And keep going. Around. And go around like this. And around like this. So we've got quite a bit that we're doing our Sharpie lines on today. So we'll just keep going around like this. Almost there, you guys. This is a little bit more detailed than what we're normally doing. At this point in the year, you guys should be able to do a little bit more difficult drawings since we're halfway through the year. And you guys have had lots of experiences drawing all kinds of things. So it's nice to kind of push you a little bit and see, you know, what you can do because you guys have had lots of practice. All right, so there are my flowers. And so what I'm going to do is I need to get my eraser and I'm going to erase all the pencil marks. Okay, so let me go ahead and get that out. And my pencil back here. Okay, there it is. All right, so I'm going to go around and erase. Now I realize some of you are probably still doing your Sharpie lines, and that's fine. At any time during the video, you can pause and you know, catch up from wherever you're at. So if I get ahead, all you got to do is push pause. Okay, so let me go ahead and erase all these pencil lines. And just like that. So I'm just going over my Sharpie lines to erase all my pencil lines. And so after you've practiced making these roses, you can use this to do like, you could make Valentine's Day cards with this, like maybe something for your mom or your dad, something special, which would be really pretty to do. Because you can always go back and watch the video and you could, you know, draw a smaller version of this. Just take a piece of paper and fold it like a taco, like in half, and you could make a really pretty picture. Okay, so I'm going to color my roses red. So I'm going to grab a red crayon. Now, the one thing I'm going to say is that you can choose to use different colors on your roses. They all don't have to be the same color. So I'm going to color some of them. I think maybe, we'll see, maybe different color. But you know, you have the option if you want to color your roses a different color, you most certainly can. You have my permission because roses come in all shades. Yellows and oranges and purples and pinks and reds, white, green. There are even ones that kind of look so creamy they're almost like a little bit of a green color. Yeah, so they've got so many different kinds of roses have different scents too. Some are very fragrant. There's a rose called Abe Lincoln. Very fragrant rose, really beautiful. And then some are very beautiful, but they don't smell like anything at all. So if you ever have a chance to go over to Portland, which is, you have to drive over there and go over the bridge. It's in Oregon, which is the state right next to us, next to Washington. There's a place called the Portland Rose Garden. And it's a gigantic, beautiful park that you can go to, especially when the roses are blooming in June through, you know, all summer the roses are blooming. You can go and see hundreds and hundreds of beautiful roses, and you can smell them. You can't pick them, of course, because, you know, we don't want to do that. We want other people to enjoy them too. But you can smell all the beautiful roses they have there. It's just the most beautiful garden, just for you to see and smell all the different kinds of roses. It's pretty amazing. It's a fun place to go. And really close to there, like right next to it, is a really fun children's park that you can go and play on their equipment, which is really fun. Really good place to have a picnic when the weather's better. You can go outside and have a picnic and go see the roses. And then my family and I, we go there only once a year and we really enjoy it. Okay, so there are my roses. I colored in, and now I need to color the leaves. Let's see here. Let me get a nice green. Let's see here. I'm going to dark green. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and color in my leaves now. Yes. Oh, and if you've ever been to the Oregon Zoo, then when you go on the train, I don't know if you remember, if you ever went on the train used to go stop where you could get off and go to the Rose Garden. It does not anymore. But I guess my point is that the zoo is really close to the Rose Gardens. They're all kind of right next to each other. And there's also a Japanese garden down there, which is nice. It's kind of fun to see. It's really fun things, super close together, and that fun park that I talked about is down there too, so that's always a fun place to go. It has a beautiful view over the city of Portland. So that's always a fun little day trip to take to go over there. But I do love roses, but we have other friends that like roses as well. We live out in the country, and so there's lots of deers, and the deers, of course, love roses. So it's really hard to have them out here because they'll come and eat them. Or if it's not the deers, it's the bugs. We get lots of aphids on our roses, so that's no fun either. Those are little bad bugs that eat your plants and end up killing your plants, so they're not my favorite for sure. I call them bad bugs. There's good bugs and bad bugs. Bad bugs are like aphids, and good bugs are like ladybugs and spiders, that do a good job. Don't ruin our plants, but ladybugs love aphids. So in the summertime, if you ever see ladybugs, they're a good bug. Put them back outside because they eat all the bad bugs. That's good, right? And so you can buy ladybugs by the box. You can order them. And then you just put them underneath your plants, and then they come out and they kind of hang out on the plants, and they eat all the bad bugs, and then your plant's happy. Okay, so there we go. So I have colored in all of my flowers, my roses, and my petals. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get out my watercolors. So let me go ahead and grab my water, my towel, and then I'm going to grab my paint down here, and I'm going to open it up. Let's see if I can make room for everything on here. Like this. Okay, so first you're going to need a little water for your paintbrush, your paint. We are going to color the outside of our picture blue. Okay, and what will happen is when we do that, it'll make the red and the green really stand out. So let me get my paintbrush a little bit wet and put it here in the blue, and then I'm going to make sure that I have paper underneath to catch any of the glue that happens to come off of the paper. Okay, so lots of water. I think I'm going to have to buy some more blue watercolor just because I'm using all of it and I'm running out. spread this around lightly. Lots of water. We have watercolors today. And you'll find that you can only do a small area at a time unless you put lots of water in your little blue paint. Oops, okay, so I'm just spreading the paint around. And I know that sometimes you'll notice that your the paper will start to curl a little bit when you use watercolor paints on it, but once it's dry, what you can do is you can put it between some books or put some books on top of it, and that will help. Okay, so you can just go over your line lines. You don't have to worry so much about that. So I'm just going over all my spots here. Lots of water in my blue because I just want it to be nice and light. So I'm going over the colors here with the blue. And again, I was mentioning that you could make some Valentine's Day cards for your parents or your grandma or your grandpa. All you would need is some paper, fold it in half, and then you can practice drawing some of these roses on there. And then you could write a sweet message and send it to them if they don't live nearby. That would be really like make someone's day to get a really beautiful handmade card from you. So just a thought. It's always nice to do something to brighten someone's day, right? Okay. All right, let's just keep going. Make sure I have my paper. My second piece of paper over on the edge there because I don't want to get paint on my desk. So I just need to keep moving it. And this is kind of like if you could think about like the sky behind the flowers. The sky isn't perfectly blue, it's just kind of different shades of blue on it. Right. So I'm just pouring around the flowers. Oops. Edge there. Just keep going. Halfway there. Right. Keep going. It's looking pretty good. It's very bright and colorful, and when you put the blue on the as the background for the red and green, it really makes those colors pop out. So that's really nice. And just keep going. All around the paper. Yeah, I definitely think I'm going to need some more blue watercolor paint. So I definitely have to get some. Okay. Just keep going. Like this. Almost there. A little bit more. It's kind of nice on this one. You don't have to be as careful. Sometimes we have to be super careful with our watercolors, but not so much on this project. Just go around. Something on the brush. Just with that. So I think we're just about caught up here. And we should have flowers. Maybe some spots on the wrist. Looking pretty good. Okay. Let's take out. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse my brush. And again, if I'm ahead of you, then you need to definitely make sure you press pause. So I'm going to dip my brush, make sure it's very clean. And I'm going to dip it into the yellow. I'm going to show you why. So when we colored our roses, there's always going to be some spots that we missed. Okay? So I'm just going to go over the top of each of these with yellow, kind of on the edge like this, and put a little bit of that color in there. So I'm just going to go over the flower. You don't have to do it perfectly, just kind of go around it inside of it. And then it's going to add a little bit of depth to the color of the flower. There we go. Okay, now if you really want to get fancy, you can do the same with the green. Wash your brush really good, and you can go over the leaves with green. Okay, so get your green, and go over the leaves. So what it does is it makes the picture look like it's like almost a full watercolor picture. Like you use completely used watercolors only on it. So kind of fun. And you don't have to be super careful. You just go over the leaves with your green. You don't want to make it too wet though, because you can rip the paper if it gets too wet. So you go over the green with your green paint. Now this is definitely going to need to dry, so you're going to need to find a safe place to put this when you're done to allow it to dry. Okay, so I'm going to green. And then if you really want to, you can trace your vines in green too, if you want to do that. But you really need to not use a lot of water. You need to make the green a little thicker, so you're not going to be putting a ton of water in the paint like we did with the blue. Okay? So just keep that in mind. You need to be just a tiny bit of water in the green so that the paint is not as runny, and you can paint over your vines if you like. Like I do. You don't have to, but it adds some nice depth to your picture. And then it looks kind of like a watercolor painting. Okay, so let me move all these things out of the way. Let's take a look. Now I know you're probably still working, and that's fine. You don't have to be done. So here is the picture of our roses. And so once it dries, it's going to have all these different shades in it, which is really pretty. So again, you could do something like, you could make a smaller version of this by folding a piece of paper in half and then doing smaller roses on it. You could do cards and things like that. So that would be something fun to send to a loved one. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and stop sharing that with you. So I hope that you enjoyed making our watercolor crayon roses today. You can always watch this video again if you would like to redo the project and make cards or do something different. So make sure that you show me your pictures, send me on your pictures that you do, and show Mrs. R what you're making, since I love to see your art. So I hope you had a fun time with Mrs. R, and I look forward to seeing you all very soon. You guys have a great day.